Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really getting into something fascinating. We're looking at some pretty wild claims, actually, about our own sun.
That's right. Claims based on, well, public source material. So we're going to unpack what's being said and look at the evidence presented.
Exactly. Our main source here is an audio clip. It's called NASA Bewildered, Interstellar UFO Harvest Energy from Sun Beyond Comprehension, dated May 2016. It features discussion from third phase of moon.
And the core idea is pretty out there.
It really is. It suggests NASA's SOHO, that's the Solar and Heliospheric Observatory, has images of huge objects, UFOs, or starcraft near the sun.
And not just near the sun, but apparently drawing energy from it.
Right.
Harvesting it.
Harvesting. So the big question we're exploring for you today is, could the source be onto something? Is there something massive really close tapping our star?
It's a provocative idea, definitely.
So let's start with the discovery itself. It comes from a guy named Tyrone Osborne, UK-based, early 50s. Calls himself a skeptic, interestingly. He says he found these images using something called his SolarMax app.
Cool.
And his reaction, he was apparently baffled. He specifically mentions seeing, quote, too many straight lines and a plasma trail.
Right, and those are the kinds of visual cues that often make people think artificial, aren't they?
Yeah.
Straight lines in nature, especially in space imagery, can stand out.
They definitely can.
But, we have to be careful. SOU images, they often have artifacts. Things like cosmic ray hits can look like straight lines, perfectly straight.
Ah, okay. So not necessarily alien tech.
Not necessarily. And digital noise, compression, that can create geometric-looking shapes, too. As for a plasma trail, well, the sun is plasma.
So
it's constantly throwing out solar wind, massive eruptions, all natural plasma. So telling the difference between that and, say, some kind of propulsion trail, that's the tricky part.
yeah, it makes sense. It's about interpretation versus well-known phenomena.
Exactly.
And the source doesn't just rely on Tyrone's find. They connect it back, referencing one speaker, Brent, talking about that strange starcraft, whatever it was, shooting through the sun from before.
Suggesting a pattern.
Yeah, they seem to be saying, look, this isn't a one-off.
Okay.
But let's talk about the size they attribute to this thing Tyrone saw. This is where it gets really mind-boggling.
How big?
According to the source, compared to Earth, this craft would be at least 3 Earth size in length.
3 Earths. Wow. Okay, let's just pause on that. 3 times the diameter of our planet.
Yeah.
We're talking over, what, 24,000 miles across? That's colossal.
Yeah.
The sheer scale challenges everything we understand about materials engineering.
Absolutely. What kind of technology, what kind of propulsion could even move something that big?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Or maybe $1 trillion. An object that massive would have its own significant gravity, moving it rapidly. The energy requirements would be astronomical.
And they do say it was moving fast.
Right.
Described as zooming by the sun quite fast. And they bring up that plasma trail again.
As evidence of its speed or power source.
Exactly. Like it's leaving this massive signature behind.
Of course, from a conventional view, things do zoom past the sun fast. Comets, for instance. And they can leave trails as they break up or sublimate, some very large ones.
Could potentially look unusual.
Could be misinterpreted, especially
Yeah.
in processed imagery, yes. Scale is also hard to judge without multiple viewpoints or known reference points.
Good point. So these images, they come from NASA's SOHO, publicly available stuff.
Correct. SEO data is accessible.
But the source has this theory about why we might be seeing these potentially extraordinary things. Why aren't they, hidden?
Ah, yes, the slip-through idea.
Mhm.
They claim SOHO really can't hide what they're putting out.
Because why? Too much data.
Basically, yeah. The image is coming so fast, they don't really have time to edit or vet out their material. So these anomalies supposedly slip through the cracks. Now look, SOHO does send back a huge amount of data. It's
Right.
constantly monitoring the sun. But
Right.
organizations like NASA have incredibly sophisticated pipelines for data processing. Automated systems. Filtering happens. The idea they just sort of can't keep up and accidentally leak UFO pictures. It seems a bit unlikely from a technical standpoint. Modern data management is pretty robust.
It sounds like it would have to be.
Definitely.
And then they use this term, soft disclosure. What's that about? Is this leak accidental, like they said, or is soft disclosure implying something deliberate, maybe a slow leak of information?
Well, soft disclosure is a term used in these circles, yeah. It generally means a gradual, maybe unofficial release of information to sort of prepare the public, perhaps. gauge reaction.
So the source is suggesting maybe NASA wants this stuff out, but subtly.
That seems to be the implication within the source's narrative. They even mention that sometimes NASA do want to blur these images.
And that's why some are low quality.
That's the explanation offered, yes. That blurring is deliberate concealment. But again, image quality. Lots of factors. Camera resolution, the distance to the object, data compression for sending it back to Earth and putting it online.
Right.
Blurring or low resolution doesn't automatically mean someone tried to hide something. It can just be a technical limitation or artifact.
Right. Occam's razor might suggest a simpler explanation than intentional blurring of alien craft.
Often, yes, though it's less exciting, perhaps.
True. Okay, let's shift to the why. Why would these enormous craft, if they exist, be hanging around our sun?
The source has a pretty straightforward theory on this.
The gas station idea.
Exactly. They propose that if you're an extraterrestrial star traveler moving between star systems, you need fuel. You need a gas station.
And the sun is prime refueling real estate.
That's the logic presented.
Yeah.
Sun stars are the best fuel depots out there for any star-bearing being. Free energy, basically.
Free energy. Just pull up and fill her up.
Well, scientifically speaking, the energy is immense, obviously. A star's output is staggering. But harnessing it?
Not so easy.
Not even remotely easy with anything we can conceive of.
Right.
You need materials that can withstand millions of degrees, manage insane radiation levels, counteract immense gravity. The technological leap is just vast.
So while the energy is free in that the star makes it, getting it is the hard part.
Precisely. The cost in terms of technology required would be unbelievable, but within the source's narrative.
It makes sense for advanced travelers.
It paints a picture, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A universe where energy isn't the main constraint for travel because you have these stellar power sources everywhere, billions, trillions of suns just waiting.
Makes interstellar travel seem almost mundane for such beings.
It certainly reframes the scale and possibilities if you accept the premise.
Okay, so let's quickly recap for everyone listening. We've got claims of a massive 3 Earth-sized object zooming past our sun, possibly leaving a plasma trail, maybe harvesting energy.
All supposedly seen in public NASA SOHO images.
Images that might have slipped through or are part of some soft disclosure, and the ultimate conclusion drawn by the source is pretty stark.
We're not alone.
Yeah, that's the bottom line they present.
So after diving into all this, it leaves you thinking, doesn't it? If, just if, any of this held water, if stars really are cosmic fuel depots,
And if such enormous craft are possible.
what does that really say about life out there? About travel, resources, the sheer scale of it all? It really makes you wonder what else might be hidden in plain sight within the data we collect from the cosmos. How much is artifact? How much is noise? And is there just maybe a signal in there somewhere? What do you think?